Good afternoon, Seal, and welcome. We're going to head on over into picks and bans of our two teams, Imagine Ocean versus Imagine Stars. Not Imagine and Dragons, so don't do that here. I'm your host, Karen Franz, and joining me today, I have Cage Reaper doing the color casting. Cage, say hello.
Hi, how y'all doing tonight? So on Imagine Ocean, we've got Hide My Coke and Smurb to Perb playing solo lanes. In game one, it looks like we have Hide My Coke top and Smurb to Perb mid. ACM 14 jungle, Nike Dragon ADC, and Reese rounding out Imagine Ocean as the support. On the other side of the rift, we've got Imagine Stars with Barbadrian 1 in the top lane, the real Beanloaf in the jungle. Sold My Balls for RP in mid lane. I'm Faded ADC and Ultimate Mako in support.
Yep, and one thing to know out of this game before we dive into dissecting the team comps here is that for Imagine Stars, that LeBlanc pick was actually a Nami pick, so keep that in mind. We're not too sure what the two bans were red side, but we do know that the blue side ban was also a Zac. So, Reaper, going into this, looking at the two team drafts, what do you think? Who won draft here, and what are the two teams going to be looking to do?
So you have two very different styles of draft here. My knee-jerk response is that Imagine Stars won the draft from a comprehensiveness of draft, right? They have a very, very strong wombo. They have numerous ways to set up the Yasuo, to set up the Diana ultis. The biggest concern that they could possibly have is not having enough sustained damage depending on how they build. Because on the other side of the fight, you have a much beefier team comp. Whereas you have very high damage and an Orin on Imagine Stars, on the side of Imagine Ocean, you've got beef, you've got Sedge, you've got Set. Even Riven in the current meta before the item changes is a fairly beefy champion. And you've got Janna to buff them all up while Vayne hides behind and does the work. It's a different front-to-back style of team fight instead of a dive and burst team fight. And I think a lot of this is going to come down to whether or not the Vayne gets hit by a bubble, a Nami ult, an Ornn ult, or a Diana ult to let the Yasuo pick her up and kill her.
Yeah, I think that's definitely fair because I mean, as you pointed out, Imagine Stars really doesn't have very much of a front line. It's just the Ornn, and then to a lesser extent, you have Diana as kind of a bit of a bruisery champion. She gets some health and some armor, but not a ton on it either. So I mean, with Ornn being the only real tank, that's not much of a concern for a Vayne. Vayne can melt through a single tank pretty quickly as long as she's not terribly far behind. So I think as long as she is able to do that, supported by the Sejuani and the Set playing, beefy frontliners and the Janna to peel for her, that can definitely be a big problem for Imagine Stars, absolutely.
On the side of Imagine Ocean, you do have a bit of a lack of AP damage, but something that gets really slept on a lot is with Sejuani and certain champions, Riven and Set being two of the best at resetting to get her passive off, you can deal a surprising amount of magic damage just off of Sedge's passive procs. And it'll be interesting to see just how quickly they can take objectives with a Riven and a Set constantly stacking those passives.
Yeah, that's very true. Do you think Imagine Ocean's lack of AP outside of the Sejuani, like what she offers, what little Janna offers, is going to really hurt Imagine Ocean with their draft at all, not having that AP damage?
I think that if they didn't have a Vayne, they'd be in a much worse position. The benefit to having Vayne is Ornn is a good tank, but Ornn is not a Rammus, it's not an Amumu, it's not a Malphite. Its specialty isn't killing an ADC, it's being a big, beefy frontline. And so I think that they've squeezed out of a potentially bad situation by picking up that heavy true damage ADC. But I think that there's potential for them to run low on damage in the top half of the map potentially, especially when they're trying to fight that Ornn, if they don't have the Vayne with them.
Yeah, that's fair. All right. Any closing thoughts before we head out into the game?
Just quick looks at these bans. The Senna band away from I'm Faded, it's his patented champ. Warwick, Vi, and Zac all banned. The Amumu band. This is some pretty heavy attention to a lot of early skirmishing jungles. And it's led us to a couple of the more interesting picks in the Sedge and the Diana. Going to be really interesting to see how these teams come out, especially with a couple of really strong OTPs being banned away.
Yeah, very fair. Alrighty, well, we're going to go ahead and get on into game. We'll be rejoining you guys very shortly. Alright, so going into this right now, looking at the team, so it did, Hide My Coke and Smurb the Perp did lane swap. They are usually in their opposite solo lanes than they are playing in this game, so we'll have to see how that plays out. Looks like level 1, we got a standard vision array coming out from red side. Meanwhile, blue, matching the same.
I'm kind of surprised by the switch here because, at least to me, I feel like Set has a pretty good matchup into the Ornn. Now, maybe they're trying to avoid the early lanes where Set can get bullied. Mm-hmm. And I feel like Riven has a pretty good lane into the Yasuo. I'm not entirely sure why they pulled this switch here, unless it is simply because Set matches Yasuo better in the early levels and Riven matches Ornn better in the early levels, and they're going to switch it back at about level 4 or 5.
Yeah, I have to agree with you because, I mean, having played those two, or, those two champs a little bit, I definitely agree with your assessment on the lane matchups. Riven, I feel like, should be able to kind of bully the Yasuo pretty efficiently, and Set, I think, the early first couple of levels are going to be a bit more difficult for him against an Ornn, but ultimately, I think it's probably the better spot for him to be. I wonder if the Set's kind of like a closet, like, sleeper pocket pick against the Yasuo pick, or maybe one of them, Hide My Coke, was just unwanting to play into that matchup.
My inclination is more the second. I've played a decent amount of mid lane, and I really like the Set pick into Yasuo because you both spike at level 2, and Set arguably has the better level 2 of the two champions, which can't be said about level 2 with almost any other champion in Yasuo.
Right. Yeah.
But that being said, I was surprised at the 5 point. I think when you have Set, Sejuani, and Janna, you should be looking for something a little bit spicy or interesting.
Yeah, I mean, so far we are seeing Set really bully the Yasuo right now. Already he's at less than half HP. He's burned his health pot. Meanwhile, Nike Dragon is kind of going in on this. Nami gets a good amount of poke, chunks her down to below half thanks to her passive W. Silver arrows, or bolts, whatever they are.
Top lane about even right now. Just a holding pattern across the map as everybody tries to get to their point where they come online.
Yeah.
Haymaker in the mid lane to match level 3, so that doesn't get any more interesting.
Yep. A lot of trading going back and forth top lane. Both of these are really happy to fight. There's not shying away from it at all. Bard Adrian really put down a lot of damage on Hide My Coke there, though. Kind of disrespected him a little bit, trying to get that CS. Meanwhile, though, Smurb the Perp going in on the Yasuo, dashing around, gets the knock-up. Sejuani coming in, though, forces the flash out of sold my balls for RP. Trade some good damage down on him after his flash went down, though.
Ooh, I think that was a little I think that was a little over-conservative. I think they could have dove that Yasuo with the Ignite and the Sejuani E-proc.
It's definitely possible. I guess they wanted to play it safe. I'm not sure if they really knew where the Diana was at that point in time, so the opportunity for a counter gank might have dissuaded them. But yeah, they definitely... Smurf the Perp has a lot of control over this lane right now. Even though he's a level behind, there's so much CS there, he's going to get it back up. He just hasn't killed it yet. Meanwhile, Sejuani's chilling, heading down now to get her crab.
That was a interesting play and pull. I think they could have killed that Yasuo once again, but instead they're just opting to hold this wave away from him.
We have a bit of an invade going on right now. Vayne split off from the other, as Sejuani and Janna are going in on the Diana. She's burnt down quite a bit. She might try and get the kill back. Nope, flashes away. Vayne is going to flash after. Diana re-engages. Sejuani gets the last hit for the first blood kill. Meanwhile, sold my balls for RB. Not a good spot. Sejuani flashes in. There's the Janna Tornado, knocks him up. Windwall comes out a bit too late. He goes down as well. Are they done? Or are they going to keep going in? I mean, we have Vayne going in on Nami a little bit, put some damage down, procs her W, but is going to disengage it there. Looks like they're just going to take some jungle farm after getting that 2-0 for Sejuani. As you said, double scumbag.
Okay, the first one was real scumbag-y. Like, you can't take that away from...
Hang on, Diana's re-engaging right now. It's just Sejuani and Janna. Janna's real low. Meanwhile, Nami's coming in. Nami is got no mana either. Acme is going to go down there. Janna's not in a good spot. I don't know if she'll be able to get away right now. Yasuo's collapsing in on her. She does still have flash, but I don't know if it's worth burning. Oh, she uses it anyways. Does have that damage proccing on her. It's going to be a little while before she can try and execute here. Shield goes out. She's walking through the turret. And nope, not long enough. Kill goes over to Kai'Sa still.
You got to imagine that red buff transition helped a lot of that. But that was not an ideal start for either team. I got to say, you're definitely feeling pretty good if you're Imagine Stars about the fact that the kills went over to your ADC instead of your tank frontline.
Yep. I mean, look at the items Kai'Sa's returning to lane with right now. She has that lethality dagger thingamajig, whose name I can't remember. She has her tier so she can start stacking it. Meanwhile, Sejuani's coming in with some extra armor, and she has the Bomby Cinder. But how impactful is that going to be early on?
Coming from somebody who plays a lot of Sejuani, if you get a little ahead like she did, you can do a lot with it. But you got to imagine at least one of those kills is better off on your Vayne. That's your hyperscaler. That's your like reliable damage source for this game.
Oh, hang on a second. We have Set flashing forward. Tackle the Yasuo backwards, but looks like with Reese there, Janna not able to bring enough damage or CC to really penalize him, so he is able to get out of there.
Really good wind wall by RP there. He actually blocks the Janna slow with his wind wall. Not sure if that was a bit of a misfire by Reese, thinking they were on the other side of the wind wall, but well done by RP to get out.
Yeah, absolutely. Meanwhile, though, Set is still picking more fights with the Diana, but he has his friends coming in, so Smurf the Perp is going to back out of there.
Charging battery.
The one thing noticeably going in the favor of Imagine Ocean, despite the 2-2 scoreline, is the fact that farm is significantly in the advantage of the Set in mid lane, leading to about a kill and a half's worth of gold right now.
Yeah. I can't remember what the key binding is to switch to gold. If you see that, let me know.
X. Pretty sure it's X.
It is X. Wonderful. Yeah, so right now Set does have, solid 600 gold lead or so over meanwhile, as we're talking about that, Vayne is really going hard for that. Nami is able to secure the kill even through the ignite, or through the exhaust. Dives Kai'Sa for a little bit of damage. Meanwhile, Sejuani is going in on the Diana again. A lot of invades going on here. Smurf the Perp took the blast cone on over in order to get in on that fight and pick it up as well. Kill went over to Smurf the Perp, so that'll get Set rolling in the mid lane. Meanwhile, though, we have Riven coming in on Sold My Balls for RP. Ult going out, full combo going down, knocks the Yasuo down to about a third HP. He is still alive. He is still chugging a potion, trying to run away there. Ornn is only just now starting to come up. Flash goes out, able to dodge the last Riven Q. Ornn is here. Flash and E out of the Riven, but Swerve the Perp, or Sold My Balls is just holding on. Ornn comes out. Set tackles him away to stop the second half of his ult. Meanwhile, though, he's trying to get away. Set brings him back in. Riven is trying to stun him up as she can. In comes Diana, though, with the big combo. Brings everybody in. Looks like she's going to be able to finish off. Yep, there it goes. Double kill going down there. Turning the situation around with her late arrival. Wow, that was wild.
Yeah,
what a chain of events.
Right there, that's a perfect example of why you want the Riven matching the Yasuo, not the Set.
Yeah.
Because there's that kill threat there. That was almost 100-0. Now, the downside to all of this, despite the fact that they got the dragon, they lost a lot of movement on Imagine Ocean, and those couple of kills that went down, gold's actually back to even now. Really unfortunate the way that it all played out at the end. But with that kill, the Diana's back even with the Sejuani. Ornn's actually almost 700 gold up right now on the Riven, and that's a problem for you. That's
Yeah,
the
it's gonna
one
be big.
person.
Oh, meanwhile,
who
though, we got a big dive bot lane. Sejuani goes down onto the Nami. They're going to tie her up, taking it long enough for the Vayne to secure the kill. Good guy, Sejuani, redeeming herself, passing the kills over.
All right, well, so that's what you got to do, right? If you're going to feed the Ornn, who's the one person that can counter your team comp, you have to flip that around by feeding the Vayne, who's the one person who can kill the Ornn.
Yep. Seth's trying to get a little aggressive here. He does have Riven, but not able to get in range enough to actually do anything to follow up on.
Notably, the Nami's healed down again. In that very first fight, Nami almost dropped before the entire skirmish broke out, but Nike Dragon's Condemn went just a shade wide,
Yep.
but it did burn the Nami heal early on in that jungle trade.
Yeah. Oh, did Seth just... That was an odd interaction with Seth and Riven there.
Ornn?
Or, yes, Riven and Ornn. Yeah, words, English, champions.
I was like, I was watching Set and Yasuo mid. I didn't know Riven was there.
Yep. Oh, man. But, no. I mean, right now, watching the Set and the Yasuo mid, we do see that, yeah, Set is continuing to bully him. He is continuing to win trades, but as you said before, there's not that kill potential. Oh, talking to kill potential, Janna is getting caught out there. Good ult coming out from her, good flash away, and good follow-up by that Vayne to knock back the Yasuo to stop any further count or engage. Real close call, though. Almost got caught out really badly.
Yeah, you got to imagine that one hurts. You get the play you need, and then they didn't just. I guess they didn't layer their damage quite right. But
yeah, we do have big plays coming out top lane right now. Sejuani going in onto the Ornn. Riven is real low. She has to really think about re-engaging. Meanwhile, that Ornn is just very tanky. Bombi Cinder coming out, doing a lot of passive damage. They have him stunned up, trying to put down damage. Riven is trying to get away. They are both so low. Sejuani has to flash away. Ornn picks up the first kill. Meanwhile, we have fights going off everywhere. Oh my god, everyone just died. Mid lane Set picked up the kill on Yasuo. Bot lane was a 3-man dive. Got the kill onto the Vayne. So Sejuani's just trying to stay alive here. Ornn has no mana, but he doesn't really need it with that Bombi Cinder putting out most of his damage. It's at least enough to keep the Sejuani away, who has no health and all the mana.
But see, that's exactly the problem I was talking about earlier. They just invested 2 people to trying to kill that Ornn. He's unkillable now. There's literally nothing that anybody on the top half of the map can do against him. All they can do is hope that Vayne is in the right place at the right time to clean up for him. Despite the fact that there's a kill lead in favor of Imagine Ocean right now, there's a 2k gold lead favoring Imagine Stars. And part of that's in the CS gap in ADC, a big part of that CS gap jungle, CS gap top. The only person who's behind in CS on that side right now is the Yasuo.
Yeah, it's going to be really difficult. I wonder if we're going to see a lane swap coming out between the mid lanes, mid and top soon, to see if the Set might do a little bit better in that matchup. But ultimately, I mean, bot tower's already dropped down. I think that the Roman, Kai'Sa, Nami, Janna, and Sejuani are kind of set enough with laning. We're going in. Speaking of, there's a Riven and Set combo into the Yasuo. He's able to go down. Nami gets out of there scot-free, though. So we had, what was that? Flash out of Set was burned to pick up that kill on Yasuo. Dragon is spawning, so they might try and force this objective now that they have a man up here.
Really good setup by Imagine Ocean, knowing what timers we're at. They saw that they had 25 seconds till that dragon spawned, and so they pulled the trigger. And unfortunate for Imagine Stars, they should have been the team in position to pull that trigger. They should have walked the Ornn down. He has all the plates, all the pressure. They should have just pulled the button on the tidal wave. There's a bunch of different ways they could have started that fight out. But getting flash set ultied, or getting flash set E'd is not how they're ever going to win a fight, and you have to be paying attention to your timers.
Yep, and that's another thing. Although Ornn got some plates top lane, is it really worthwhile for him? Oh, meanwhile, though, Vayne is being engaged on by the Yasuo, turns the damage fight around with her exhaust. He has to flash away, but he still goes down. Diana's coming in from behind, but flash away by Nike Dragon is not able to pick up the Nami kill. She goes down into the tower. Meanwhile, Reese is being engaged on by the Diana. Not likely she gets away. Nope, she goes down too. So ultimately turned that around by good timing from Beanloaf coming in there.
Yeah, it's still a 1K goal or a 1 kill split, but it's a 8 or a 4K gold split in favor of the kill losing team right now.
Yeah.
You've got pretty big gold leads on all of your carry roles right now. There's a 1500 gold lead ADC, a 1500 gold lead jungle, and a 2000 gold lead in the top lane. Notably, the only thing going in favor of Imagine Ocean right now is the Yasuo only has 5 deaths, and that 0-10 power spike looks like it's a little way off still.
He's halfway there, you know. It's coming up. Let's see, Reese, yep. You know, just getting some scuttle control right now. Smites it to secure it. A little bit of a lull in action at the moment.
If you're Imagine Stars, you got to be a little frustrated right now. Your carry player, your highest ranked player is having a really rough game, and he's the player you drafted your whole comp around. Their comp, while they have a lot of
hang
strong
on a second, though, because we do
pieces-
have a big fight going on. Ornn does ult in, trying to get the engage, but Jan was able to flash away. Sejuani's in a bit of a rough spot right now, looking to try and move out of there. Diana is able to bring her back in. Meanwhile, though, Set tackles the Ornn under the tower. Ornn dashes away. Reese has to use heal. Still goes down. They do take down the Ornn, but Sejuani is way too low. Meanwhile, though, Hide My Coke is in a bad spot. Is able to get out. Though Smurf kind of just traded places where they're equally bad spot, getting chain CC'd by the Yasuo knockup, followed by a Yasuo ult and Nami bubble. Nami is a little bit low now, though, but if Hide My Coke really wants to go for this, is she able to get it in time to get away herself? Flashes over the wall. No one's going to follow up on that, so big trades coming out from both sides of the game.
Kind of an ugly situation there. You gotta wonder why Sold My Balls held his ulti for so long on Yasuo. There were a couple of different times earlier that he could have used it. Maybe he thought that they needed to hold it for a more important to CC target, but they could have had that pick on Sedge clean, easy, and early, and then looked to make that the rest of that play a lot cleaner. You gotta be happy if you're Imagine Ocean coming out on the other side of that, even in kills still, and actually gaining back a little bit of that gold lead because you killed the Ornn and picked up that shutdown.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're seeing now with Vayne kind of fighting a little bit with the Ornn. She is able to do some decent damage currently. If she gets that third proc off. She's sitting on 1,000 gold. I think it might be enough. No, it won't actually. Oh, no, it is. She went shield bow. Interesting. I would have expected Kraken Slayer, but I could see the shield bow for the Diana and Yasuo burst. Or
Gale Force. I don't like shield bow. I don't think it's a very good item. I think that it's very easy to itemize against. I don't like that as the start of your build as a Vayne. Especially when you're being depended on from your team to deal damage. Now maybe that's her thought, is if she stays alive long enough, she needs to get off those third procs, but it's
and it's like
it's not what you want to do.
Maybe looking for a fight, maybe just baiting out the Ornn. Yep, and just getting right out of there.
Well, that's unfortunate. Good on Imagine Stars for recognizing that they've made consistently late moves and plays towards this dragon, and they get their whole team down, but they just lost their team fight starter and their major go button. Going wide, they do manage to use the Rift Herald to pick up a turret, trading back for the turret that Set's getting. But Smurf to Perb continuing this split right now.
Yeah, we have a big engage going on mid lane, though, right now. Sejuani started it off with her ultimate. Meanwhile, though, Hide My Coke is following up pretty hard. Yasuo kind of gives up and heads on down, knows he isn't able to get out. But they are still chasing this, trying to go after the Nami. Bubble goes out, does not land on anybody. Meanwhile, though, bot lane, they were able to pick up the kill onto the Vayne, catch her out. They have turned onto the Dragon right now. So while they're doing Dragon, looks like Sejuani and Riven are kind of confused. They're uncommitted. Looks like they want to get a dive going on here. Set's coming in. But Set is all alone, taking tower shots. Drop down to half. Haymaker comes out, does no damage. Diana gets ulted in underneath her own tower, though. Lots of damage coming out, but it's not enough to take out the Ornn. He is just way too tanky.
Yeah, that entire fight, again, the Yasuo holding his ulti. The Nami wave hit too, and you gotta think that whether or not you wanted to fight them there, knocking them up for longer gives you a better chance to get your team away. I don't know if he was afraid that if he went in, he was dead for sure or not, but it's not a good look when your Yasuo dies with his ulti up after getting a double knockup from the setup ult.
Yeah, that's absolutely fair. I mean, he is 0-6 on the way to the 0-10 power spike. He's still making good progress there.
Yeah, you gotta wonder that even with a 3K gold lead, if they keep losing fights and their hyper carry just isn't in the game at all, it's not looking promising for the side of Imagine Stars, even with every other lane overperforming.
Well, fortunately, I mean, Kai'Sa is a pretty large carry in and of herself. 5-0, she is well ahead of the Vayne with 2 full items, nearly has her mana immune fully stat. I mean, as long as she's able to stay alive in fights, hide behind the Ornn and keep putting out damage, she should be a good alternative to the Yasuo carry.
That's fair. Notably, my biggest concern is that this particular Kai'Sa build does more burst damage and poke damage than it does continuous damage, and I think that it's going to struggle into the Sejuani, because Sejuani is one of the best tanks in the game at absorbing poke and just ignoring it. And right now, the Sedge is one of the biggest members of Imagine Ocean. But to carry on your point, you're absolutely right. There's a 3,000
we have a big dive coming out here. Ornn walking up behind the tower, tries to take it down. Nami's shield, or Janna's shield keeps up a little bit. Meanwhile, Diana is brought down low, is taken out of the fight. Ornn ult comes out. Yasuo is able to get the knock up and ult in. They do pick up, 2 kills there, trading over the 1 with Diana, on top of picking up the tower. Good moves from Imagine Stars making that happen.
Yeah, but unfortunately for them, this is a good-looking play, but they gave 700 gold over to Nike Dragon on that Vayne. That Diana shutdown almost completely negates the benefit of the trade that they made, and worse, all of the gold goes on to the last person you want it to. I was just about to make a comment about the fact that there was a 3K gold split between the ADCs, and that last fight alone just brought Vayne down to 2K behind the Kai'Sa now. Really not necessarily something you want to let happen. But on the flip side, the Yasuo did pick up a shutdown onto the Sejuani. Not as big of a shutdown, only 150 extra, but it does get him back within a couple thousand gold of the set. So really right now, we're seeing the gold start to redistribute itself a little bit, but still a big lead gold-wise for Imagine Stars, even if they're a little bit behind the Dragon count.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the net's big priority for Imagine Ocean should be trying to get that shutdown onto the Kai'Sa. She's sitting on a 700 gold shutdown, Ornn with 300 gold, but he's obviously a much harder target to pick. If they are able to pick that up, especially put that onto a major carry like the Vayne or even onto the Riven, that would be huge for Imagine Oceans.
Yeah, I'm Faded has to be real careful and real smart about what he does here, because if he makes the wrong engage, if he takes that ulti the wrong way, there's a lot of potential on the side of Imagine Oceans to just CC and kill him.
Racy in a bad spot right now. Ornn catches her out. Ultimate is coming down. She does throw out her own ult to try and stop him, but he is able to recover in time to get off the second half. They do make that pick there. Trading ults, Bard Adrian does not have his Ornn ult, their big core engage tool, but we'll see how that plays up. Dragon is not spawning for another minute and a half, so no objectives really going over right now.
I've got Dragon
pick coming out
spawning
here, though. Diana does go out, is taken down. Very nicely set up there. Am I looking at the wrong timer for the Dragons? Is it coming up right now?
Dragon's spawning in 12
I'm looking
10 seconds now. Real rough play by the jungler up top there. Your Ornn just burned everything he had to try to secure the advantage around the objective. Going up there...
Oh, 1 second, though. Riven is really going engaging on here. She is brought down to half herself after having chunked out the Nami considerably. Is able to get out. Nami ult coming in kind of late, kind of a questionable ult there. Set looking for the ult onto the Ornn here. Doesn't want to make the same mistake he made before, hitting Ornn on his invulnerability target. Is able to go in. Big flash coming out of Set. Able to pick up the kill there. Meanwhile, they are going down. They do pick up the Ornn. Vayne in the back, looking for that pick onto I'm Faded. Faded trying to put down the damage back at her, but does get exhausted, does get taken down. Yasuo avoids the Janna Tornado. Diana coming in on the back line, did not get the reset on her. E is stunned in the wall. She looks like she's going to go down. She does. So Yasuo, the only survivor out of Imagine Stars. Meanwhile, Imagine Ocean... Not even, looks like they're not even going for the dragon. They're just heading straight up. Oh no, dragon went down in that fight. I missed that. They're heading straight up for that Baron.
Yeah, the Vayne and Sejuani were taking the dragon on the back half of the fight while their front half just stalled and bought time. That was the worst possible outcome for Imagine Stars. They invested their big team fight opener to catch up the support from the enemy team, and then their jungler gets caught in a bad spot right before spawn of the dragon. And then after that, they just kind of trickle in, falling one by one, and they give up the entire gold lead they have. Call of the Forge God comes over here again, but...
Yeah, Ornn all on his own. No one really able to follow up. Kai'Sa's trying to move around in the back line.
Big Set ulti.
Big Set ult. Yep, Set's getting out of there. Riven is TPing in after having soloed the Yasuo. She's still full health after that duel as well, so she's coming in. She has, obviously all of her chase. Gets the big jump over the wall, stuns up the Ornn, finishes them off as well. So that's 3 for nothing after taking the Baron, after acing the other, or nearly acing the other team only a minute ago, as well as grabbing the dragon. That's a lot of objectives and a lot of kills, a lot of gold heading over to Imagine Ocean.
At 24 minutes, this game was 15-15. And in the last 3 minutes, Imagine Stars has just mental boomed. They're not playing together. They're split up. They're throwing their big team fight ultis individually for no perceivable gain or reason. And the script of the game has flipped so dramatically. The gold has swung almost 7,000 gold in 3 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like Bard Adrian was trying to steal that Baron with his ultimate, but I mean, as you pointed out, that left his entire team exposed without that major teamfight ult. So when everyone else trickled in after the Baron had gone down, it just wasn't able to work. They weren't able to really do anything.
And that's kind of the third time now that Imagine Stars has just run into the enemy team without having their whole team ready or prepared to make a turn. It's getting to be a little bit of a concerning trend for
Set
a
might
team
be looking for a fight here. Ornn immediately fasters out. He knew what was coming, but doesn't matter because Vayne is coming in, putting that damage down onto the Ornn, able to pick it up. Kai'Sa's trying to get away. Exhaustus to come out. Still, though, lots of damage coming out of the Vayne. Kai'Sa does get out. Has to run away, though. She'll have to head back all the way to the base. Meanwhile, they are able to take down their mid-tier 2 tower.
Also, we didn't touch on it a second ago, but we were talking about the significant gold difference between the ADCs. After the last couple of fights, Vayne actually has the most gold in the game. So the couple of questionable decisions made by Imagine Stars got that 1,000 gold shutdown over to the Vayne, and a couple of other big kills, and this Vayne all of a sudden now is the gold gap in the game. This champion that is here specifically to counter their entire team comp that they had managed to keep behind for so long is now so far ahead that objective bounties are coming out.
Yep, from 4-4 to 8-4. She has really turned around in this mid game that we're at right now.
From being 3,000 gold behind her lane opponent to being the highest...
Big engage coming on bot lane, though. Set turns it around. Lots of damage turns around. 1v3. He does take out the Diana. They kind of try to re-engage. Yasuo is brought down. Janna, taken out by the Sejuani ult. Meanwhile, Kai'Sa also falls, tried to turn around on Vayne, but not quite enough. Hide My Coke does get out. Meanwhile, top lane 1v1 against that Ornn. They have to wait for minions now before they can really push these towers. But that was a clean 4 for nothing by Imagine Oceans.
Well, so the problem is now that Imagine Ocean has they've lost their identity. They've lost the ability to do what their team comp needs to do, and they haven't been pulling the trigger onto the Vayne. They let the Vayne get back into the game. The entirety of Imagine Ocean's comp is to peel for this Vayne, and when the Vayne was behind, it was easy for Imagine Stars to do kind of whatever they wanted and still win fights. Now Imagine Stars is in such a bad position. They're 7,000 gold
damage
down.
going out on the Riven right now, but she is just able to walk away thanks to all of her many, many dashes. Meanwhile, this is going to be the last dragon going over for Imagine Ocean. Nobody is contesting them. It's about to fall, and that is secured. So that is Hex Tech Soul secured.
Yeah, this is a game that Imagine Stars needs to go back and take a sit down and a VOD review of. They had a commanding lead in this game. They had this game playing out, aside from ideally what they want from their mid lane.
Oh, hang on a second. Diana is trying to pick a fight with the Riven, but I'm not sure she really wanted it. Mistimed the the stun there, but doesn't matter anyway. She's able to flash away.
Notably, this Diana has gone from 3-2-7 and one of the top gold champions in the game to 3-7-7 and sitting in the bottom half of the gold graph. And Imagine Stars really suffering from team fight-itis here, where they had a beautiful, huge lead, and then they just didn't seem on the same page as a team.
Yeah.
A couple of miscues around
being
timers.
left alone with the Riven, kind of a scary situation to be. All right.
Yeah. A couple of miscues with timers, a couple of little missed plays, and Imagine Stars were in position to control and dominate this game. A really good mental on the side of Imagine Ocean to stick with the game plan and continue to pressure and play this out and get to the point that they're at now, where they're up almost 8,000 gold in a Dragon Soul.
Yeah. Meanwhile, they are doing a very good 1-4 split here. Riven keeping a lot of pressure top side, while the rest of her team is able to be mid and get that inhib.
I'll be interested to see what changes Imagine Ocean and Imagine Stars make in the next game, because you have to imagine that Imagine Ocean will want a better draft. They can't be happy with how this draft played out. On the side of Imagine Stars, you had the draft, you had the game, and you just kind of shot yourself in the foot a little bit. And I'm really hoping that they can shake this one off and get their mental straight for the next game.
Right. Now that they're onto the Baron, they have full vision control. That's dropping real quickly. It's already down to about a third, about a quarter, and it's gone. I mean, it looks like I think we have a breather here to reset, or maybe not, as they just are pushing already. Wow, okay. Aggression. I love to see it. Seth's recalling. He does not have teleport. Okay, nope, they are resetting.
Yeah, about 1,000 gold on everybody there. That was that ridiculous Baron take that I was talking about, and that ridiculous objective take.
Yep.
They didn't get a whole lot of opportunities in this game with the Set and the Riven all on the same objective, but that's just how much that Sedge passive brings to killing objectives when you have other melee champions, especially ones that have resets on your team.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think going back to your earlier point about kind of the situation that Imagine Stars has found themselves in and what they can take away from this game, I think one of the biggest things is that their team comp is built around the Yasuo and working off of his ultimate. They have all the knockups to give him those opportunities, and we haven't seen those that utilized much in fights since things started declining for them. As you said, he died several times without his ult up.
I think another problem that they ran into in this game was the fact that they stopped working together as a team. One of the most important things you can do, especially if you're going to draft a team fight comp, is your team has to be in the same place. They have to be on the same page. And I think that the Yasuo being behind kind of threw off the mojo of Imagine Stars, but even with that being thrown off, they still had a solid 4,000 gold lead for the majority of this game before they just kind of started self-destructing, and Imagine Ocean just started grouping and forcing them to team fight, and Imagine Stars just weren't quite ready for the team fights.
Yeah, right now, I mean, Imagine Ocean kind of content to just let the minions push in, taking whittling away at the towers as they can. Nami ult does come out, doesn't really hit anybody. Set goes in big on the Ornn, able to take out with a Nami instantly. Lots of damage going down. He does also pick up the kill onto the Diana. Meanwhile, triple kill in total for Set, and Kaizo is also picked up. Ornn, the sole survivor of his team, has to go all the way back in the fountain to keep that streak up. Ult comes down very late, not able to connect on anybody, and that is game 1 for Imagine Oceans.
That was a wild banger of a game. It hurts me a little bit to see how that went for Imagine Stars. I think they really put themselves in a really, really strong position to make a run at that game, and they had good control over it for most of the game. And then just in 3 minutes, they self-destructed, and they just were all on a different page and not working together, and they managed to really hurt themselves.
Yep. I would love to hear more from Imagine Ocean's point of view on who their shot caller is and who was really making those decisions to really push that advantage in that 3-minute time period you spoke about, because they went from a big fight at the Dragon to pushing for the Baron to another big fight right immediately afterwards, and that takes a lot of gall, a lot of gumption to go and push for and actually follow through with.
Yeah, really, really good game out of Imagine Ocean. Despite the fact that they were behind for a good chunk of the game, they never let it get out too far out of control, and then to be able to climb back into it in dominating fashion the way they did in those 3 minutes was really something to watch, and I'm hoping to see them do something similar in the next game.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, we're going to take a quick break right here as we get everything set up for game number 2. We'll be right back. Alrighty, and good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to game number 2 of Imagine Stars versus Imagine Oceans. In case you've forgotten, I am your play-by-play caster, Karen Franz. Joining me today is Cage Reaper. Cage, take us away with game number 2 pro draft and breakdowns of the two teams.
All right, game number 2. After a banger game number 1 where it looked like Imagine Stars had won the draft and they were up 4K gold during the game, it looked like things were going to be dire straits for Imagine Ocean. A couple of clutch plays managed to flip the script, and Imagine Ocean wound up taking that game. In response to that, Imagine Stars has banned the Vayne that wound up the highest gold champion in the game last game in their first rotation. Mm-hmm. We're not entirely sure, due to pro draft glitch, what champion they dropped was, but given the trade of the supports, it's possible that it was a Zyra ban that is now picked up. I'm not entirely sure. Interesting that Zyra was the first pick both games, but you've got some pretty dramatically different drafts coming through this game.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing to note is both teams drafted a very squishy compositions. For Imagine Stars, your tankiest champions are going to be Lilia and Graves, supplemented with like a Janna for the heal and the shields. But Imagine Oceans has got the Jarvan, and then like Yasuo, I guess you could call like a lifesteal tank in that regard, if he's allowed to stay alive and just keep lifestealing. And Lux is her shield, but that's about it. So neither comp bring a lot of tanky frontline to this engagement, so expect big explosive fights to break out, picks to happen, and people to instantly disappear off the screen.
Yeah, I think there's some real possibility for some explosiveness in this game. My notable concern, last game I thought Imagine Stars won the draft pretty handily. And the early game and mid game kind of played through that until a couple of individual missteps sunk their ship. This time around, I think that Imagine Stars lost the draft pretty significantly. Across the board, they have entirely late game champions. And on the other side of the rift, you've got Imagine Ocean with some real strong early game activity, playmaking, and damage that transitions really well into the mid game.
Yep. I would say Graves could definitely be an early game bully in most matchups. The exception here being against that Yasuo lane that counterpicked him. That's like the one time where I really don't see Graves doing all that well in the lane phase. So we'll have to see how that actually rolls out. I mean, Imagine Ocean as a whole drafted their own Yasuo comp counter to what Imagine Stars had last game. Different champions to fill out the roster, but still the same purpose. You get the knockups, you get the Yasuo to engage, and everything just kind of gets deleted after that.
Yeah, really, really good use of the last pick, taking the Yasuo into the Graves top lane for the counter up there. Once again, Smurf to Perb in mid and Hide My Coke in the top lane. So I'm thinking that might be something that you see from this team more often than not, unless it's just they really prefer the matchups that Hide My Coke has into Barbadrian, because they've been pretty reliable both games. But I think that we're going to see a pretty explosive game, especially early. And if that happens, it's going to go hard in favor of Imagine Ocean. And I would wager that Imagine Stars never gets online in this game. Based off of draft, Imagine Ocean just steamrolls.
All right, bold prediction. Well, I guess we'll have to see how it plays out. Are you ready to head in the game?
Let's do it.
Alrighty, so we'll be heading on into the game then. See you all very shortly. And we are live. Alrighty, so going off, it looks like red team is immediately barreling down bot lane. Looks like we are going to see some level 1 shenanigan of some sort, as opposed to Imagine Stars just doing a standard 5-point right now. Janna's
really
all
interesting.
alone.
Really interesting to me here that they opt for it with this comp instead of the comp that they had last game. But you have to imagine that it's because of the Zyra E Lux Q combo.
Yep, good tornado coming right out, able to dissuade that immediately. Very nicely done. Good escape out of there.
I really wish that... Oh, wait, Beanloaf might be going for it. I was just about to make a comment about how when you have that counter invade, as the members on the other side of the map of the 5-point, you really need to be getting this invade to secure the vision that you need, and that you now have an opportunity to get to track the enemy jungler, especially into a Jarvan. This vision is incredibly valuable.
Yeah, absolutely. Meanwhile, Barbadrian going to get a little bit of free damage here on the Yasuo. Haimako does miss the Q. Barbadrian trades over 3 autos for nothing, though, able to put down a little bit of a lead for himself. Nicely done.
That was a little grief, I think, because it brought attention over to the fact that the Lilia was hiding in the jungle there, and it gave away that invade. I don't know if Smurf de Perb walks over and places that ward if it wasn't for the Graves showing that he was already invaded into the jungle. And now the Jarvan's going to get the free counter jungle, although he will be spotted on a ward.
Big damage being traded back and forth by Smurf de Perp and Sold My Balls. Right now, very low health right there. Ziggs does have to flash away. They actually both traded flashes for it. Meanwhile, Barbadrian is bullying the Yasuo up top lane right now. Looks like Reds were successfully traded between the junglers. Yep. Oh, Barbadrian going in with the level 2 advantage, but Yasuo just hit level 2 himself. Sidesteps the Yasuo Q. All in all, trade's going pretty well for Barbadrian at the moment.
Yeah, well, level 1 is definitely Graves favored. Level 2 is where Yasuo starts to be able to trade back. It's level 3 where we should see a significant
we do have Jarvan
split.
going in the mid lane. Ziggs does throw down his satchel charge, is able to disengage there. Never a dull moment in Seal. Jarvan coming for the re-engage jungle mid, maybe? He's looking for it. Looks like he's going to back out. Oh no, he's coming back around for it. Here he comes. Satchel charge placed down preemptively. Does knock the Jarvan under the tower. He is able to take down a lot of damage, but he does survive. First blood goes over for the Lux. Meanwhile, we do have Bard Adrian looking for a fight there with the Yasuo. Windwall able to discourage enough of it for him to get back to the safety of his tower.
Clever play made by the Ziggs there to knock the Jarvan under turret. Unfortunately, doing that knocked himself away from his turret, and I think that he almost would have benefited from walking onto the backside of that satchel charge. And even if the Jarvan gets out, at least they both go under turret, or the Ziggs gets back under turret where he's not going to get pinchered and killed.
Yeah. I think the reason why he didn't go immediately back over satchel charge to safety was because the Jarvan was coming in with a flag Q to knock him up and prevent that sort of a thing. So after the combo came through, he could have gone for it, but he hit it a bit early, pushing that Jarvan into his tower and pushing himself away from safety.
Yeah, just unfortunate the way it all played out there mid. Possibly could have done a little bit different, but Ziggs is a bit of an abnormal champion for RP. He's normally much more of an assassin, high volatility player.
Yeah, Janna getting caught up there. Knight going down. Damage coming out. Lucian able to go in. Gets the last hits for the pickup on that kill. Ultima Mako going down.
Really good play by Reese there on the Zyra. Nike Dragon just benefiting
looking to get the other play on the Faded. Able to dodge the snare. Able to dodge or flash the knock-up. Lots of damage traded down nonetheless, though. All summoners gone for the bot lane of Imagine Oceans except for the exhaust. Meanwhile, Imagine Stars still has everything but a Knight up.
And this is exactly the kind of beginning that you can't have as Imagine Stars. You need to stall this game out. And being 1,000 gold down at 5 minutes is not how you do that.
Yep, and all quick apology, I inverted the team names. Imagine Stars is the blue team this game. Imagine Oceans is red team. But, yep. Meanwhile, though, big trades coming out top lane, though, as Graves and Yasuo are kind of trading back and forth. Yasuo real low. He does have a shield, though. Might be a bit risky for the Graves to keep pushing that. Knockup does miss.
Yeah, not entirely sure why Barbadrian stopped chasing the Yasuo while he sat in the stun puddle there. Not sure if he thought that the wind wall was going to block his damage, but Yasuo was on the wrong side of the wind wall for that trade.
Yeah, but I think he was expecting Yasuo to dance around it, and he just kind of never did. So it was definitely an odd play there. Meanwhile, though, Jarvan is looking to make a play here. He is standing on a ward, though. I don't think he realizes it. Yeah, Bard Adrian, smart enough, not going to let himself get caught in there. Lilia's coming up, and he is immediately repositioned, heading on in there. Yep. Knockup goes out of the Jarvan as he's looking to get out of there. A little bit of damage traded over. Ooh, flash coming out. Yasuo with the big ult going back in, able to take down the Graves. Lilia all alone here right now. Luxol comes in to pick her up as well. Secure a clean 2-0 for Imagine Oceans.
Don't know why Hide My Coke didn't immediately ulti off of the knockup from the Jarvan originally, but a little bit of flashy footwork there makes up for it as they managed to pick up 2 more kills and turn this 1k gold lead into a 2k gold lead. It's getting a little concerning. The Lux is very big right now, and that's a champion you really don't want to get behind.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is a pretty big turnaround from where the game was last time at this point. Imagine Stars had an advantage, mostly gained through like CS and objective control rather than kills. But right now, all of it's in the favor of Imagine Oceans.
Yeah, Imagine Ocean did have that kill lead early, but Imagine Stars was able to really out-farm them and out-control the map early, minus the little bit of lost dragon control. This time around, Imagine Ocean right back at it with the early kills, but this time they're smothering them. They're taking all the farm and all the kills.
So big trades going down top lane. The Barbarian put down a lot of damage on the Yasuo, but Lux is here to help him. Does dodge the abilities coming out from both Yasuo and Lux, but doesn't really matter because Yasuo was able to close that distance and finish him off. Janna trying to get
And this is the
pink
problem with when Lux gets ahead.
Meanwhile, though,
Lux
Janna did get
lasers.
caught out, was snared. Lucian is trying to put down enough damage on her, but Lilia is there to dissuade it. Low on mana herself, though, and lots of damage. There's the Jarvan coming in. Ultimate going down. Cataclysm is able to pick up the kill there. Xayah ult thrown out, but isn't really able to do much. Does she call it back in? Yep, there it is. The stun up the Jarvan. Does manage to jump away with his jump. Dash thingamajig. So many words. Ziggs is trying to run away right now. Getting nickel and dimed by the Lucian, who is able to finish him off and pick up that kill.
Really unfortunate trade there. Kind of questionable entry and positioning from Imagine Stars, taking a fight in their own jungle, kind of scattered all over the place. Is really unfortunate for them that ACM was right on the edge of that Ziggs ulti and it didn't quite connect. He was able to flag and drag away and smite the dragon to survive.
Yeah,
But
this should be noticed. He doesn't have smite right now. If Lilia did want to try and contest, but nope, is not able to get in there.
Yeah, and they had pretty strong vision down. They've got wards in both of those bushes. There was no way for that Lilia to get in range of that dragon without being seen. Pretty smart play, good objective control, good map control by Imagine Ocean. And this lead is getting to a point where it's getting real difficult to see a way back into this for Imagine Star.
Yep, we're looking at about a 3k or so gold lead right now for Imagine Oceans, and they do have that Ocean Drake, so I guess they don't really have to imagine too much more. One thing that worth noting is I was predicting that the Graves would get bullied by the Yasuo, but it's been the exact opposite in that lane. Although Graves is 0-2, the Yasuo is 2-0. Both of those kills came during skirmishes and jungler and mid lane assistance. So it's been an interesting flip of those tables. So we are seeing a Yasuo get online, maybe potentially at least sooner than last game.
Yeah, and this is the problem with when Lux gets ahead of the curve of the game. Lux can instantly clear the wave. She ults the wave, and her ult's back up in 30 seconds.
Yep. Oh, Yasuo putting a lot of damage down on the Graves. Is able to knock him up. He does have to ult to get some distance. Trades back a lot of damage, dissuading the Yasuo from continuing any further. Ziggs ult goes down, puts some more damage down onto him. But it looks like he will be able to get away. I don't think Lily has any real way to get back in on top of him. Meanwhile, there's the Jarvan, gets the knock-up. They do burn her and burst her really quickly.
Yeah, Lily is a champion that I'm not a big fan of. The champion's kind of cheesy and pisses me off in a lot of ways, but I do really like playing Jarvan into Lilia because I feel like Jarvan's just a champion that can punish Lilia at all stages of the game so effectively that it's kind of refreshing when that little stupid deer tries to run away and you just ulti on top of her and watch her melt.
Yasuo may be looking for a dive here. Graves already used his E, not really able to dash around anymore, but doesn't matter because that tower damage puts down quite a lot onto the Yasuo. Trying to survive in the wall, flashes past the wind wall. Looks like they're just going to trade places now, though. Lilia is coming in. Yasuo doesn't know it. There's some damage going down. Does dodge the Lilia knock up. A Jarvan is there. Cataclysm comes out. Lilia flashes away, picks up the kill there. Graves manages to get the blast cone to get away, at least for the moment, because we do have Lux coming up. She does have ult. She does have vision. Meanwhile, though, bot lane, Janna, lots of damage being traded over. Lucian ult does pick up the Janna, lots of damage there. What is that? Xayah, sorry, couldn't really see, goes down. My brain is just not functioning. So much action has just happened back to back.
Well, in top lane, we have the Lux laser go wide and the Jarvan looking for the dive, but Lux picks up the kill with an E. And it's really, you're seeing a little bit of fight back out of Imagine Star, but unfortunately, they're not getting shutdown gold outside of like one extra kill on the Yasuo for that Lilia, and they're falling further behind. They're now 5k gold behind.
Yep. Meanwhile, Yasuo has moved to the mid lane. Looks like he's just, I'm not sure if he's looking to stay there now and do a lane swap with the Lux, or if he was just there for the moment. Looks like he's heading back home top lane.
Yeah, if you're the Yasuo, even though the Graves can trade with you and you did just die, you died to the Lilia. You didn't die to your lane opponent. You still have a sizable 1,000 gold lead on your lane opponent. The only lane that's even remotely close right now is the jungle, where the Lilia just picked up the extra gold and has been farming faster than Jarvan because cocaine deer farm fast.
Oh, this is a bad spot for the Xayah to be. Snare did miss. Lucian, though, brings a lot of damage. It doesn't really matter. She does go down very quickly. Though we do have a bit of a skirmish top lane, as they have been prone to do all game long. Yasuo did force Graves away from the wave.
Yeah, a little bit of trading going on in the bot lane, but the lead continues to balloon for Imagine Ocean.
Big engagement from the Yasuo top, though. Does burn ult, is able to force the ult in return from the Graves. Looking to try and get back in there, possibly? Nope, maybe not.
This is kind of that perfect storm that I was worried about for Imagine Star, where they need to scale everywhere, and
big damage coming out top lane. We do have a big dive out of the Yasuo, able to pick up that 1v1 underneath the tower. Lilia kind of skirmishing a little bit with the Lux. They do stun her up. Ziggs ult goes down, not quite able to pick her up. There's the rest of her team, but the Dragon secures the kill onto the Lux. Doesn't matter, though, because they are going to trade it back 2 for 1. Lucian, meanwhile, though, bot lane putting down a lot of damage onto the Janna, does able to secure, even after ults were traded back and forth. Lots of damage going back. Lucian heals through the Xayah burst after a very nice flash to avoid the setup from Xayah's ultimate, so she couldn't recall those.
Yeah, really good play by Nike Dragon down there in the 1v2 to pick up both kills while his support and jungler were taking the Dragon. Great play up top by the Yasuo to pick up a kill there. That ulti from Jarvan is why I love picking Jarvan into Lilia. Lilia thinks she's going to do her little twirls and run people down, and you just jump on top of her and then laugh while your team bursts her. It's a really good feeling. Not great for the Lilia, but, you're playing Lilia, so nobody feels bad for you.
Yep. Game is currently 3-18 with both Dragons in favor of Imagine Ocean. So right now, if you were Imagine Stars, what are you looking to do to get back into this situation?
That's optimistic.
We do have objective bounties, there are opportunities. But yeah, it definitely is an uphill climb.
The difficulty here is, if you're Imagine Star, you need Imagine Ocean to make a mistake. There is no way back into this game without Imagine Ocean making a mistake. Now, this is Seal. We are talking about mid-gold to low-plat elo. Mistakes do get made. They do happen. We watched Imagine Star be the team to make that mistake last game. But it's a really tough spot to be in when you're sitting on the team comp that has to get everybody to late game. And you're down 8,000 gold. To get this game back on a playing field where Imagine Star is at
big
least
fight
even.
Breaking out bot lane. Racy tried to get the snare, didn't quite land anything, but Lucian, Nike Dragon, is able to go in and pick up the kill onto the Janna with his ult coming out. Big snare traded back, though. Xayah did a lot of damage burst onto the Xayah and Zyra, but not enough to pick up any kill.
Yeah, so really, if you're Imagine Star here, you have to be able to stall this game out for another 15 minutes, probably.
Yep.
You have to somehow survive giving up the Ocean Soul. You have to somehow survive giving up first, possibly second Baron.
Oh, hang on, though, because we have big fight possibly breaking out top lane. Graves trying to get out of there, has to burn the flash. Yasuo doesn't care. He's got a minion wave he can chase. Meanwhile, Lux ult goes down, doesn't quite land. Graves able to dash out of that, avoid the knockup, but Yasuo's already got it back, and there's the Cataclysm, there's the ultimate. He goes down. Meanwhile, bot lane, Xayah gets bursted pretty quickly by Reese, able to put a lot of distance in that 3v1. They do pick up the Janna. Meanwhile, Reese, though, still alive. This is a 2-for-1 for the Lucian. Lots of damage going back out. Picks up a triple kill for Lucian. Massive outplay by Nike Dragon and Reese there to really juggle the damage and really make sure that both of them came out on top.
Yeah, that's just a hard spot to be in. You honestly, at this point in the game, can't be trying to pick a fight onto the Lucian Zyra. bit of a questionable call on the side of Imagine Stars looking for those two particular members. You're going to have a much better chance trying to knock down the Yasuo or the Lux if you're the Lilia. I know that hasn't gone well for you before because the Jarvan just jumps on you and you're trying to make a play across the map. You just watched a lot expended top, but you're not ever going to catch and kill a Lucian as Lilia at this point in time in the game. And this, again, is part of the problem with the comp on the side of Imagine Stars, is if they get a little bit behind, they have very minimal hard CC to deal with a champion like a Yasuo or a champion like a Lucian that's just going to keep moving and keep dodging everything. It's kind of rough. But we did see some really, really good dodges up in top lane from the good sidestep on Barbadrian dodging the Lux ulti and the Yasuo knockup. Good play by the Yasuo to dodge the Graves ulti. Even being behind, we're seeing some pretty good
Ziggs
play.
walks right into Reese, able to stun him up. Kill goes on to Reese with his plants. Yasuo not quite able to secure it. Nice pick there. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of vision for Imagine Stars in their own jungle, especially their bot side jungle. It's pretty much all controlled by Imagine Oceans.
Well, and that's part of the problem you get into when you're this far behind. Now they're 10k gold behind. You can't walk up. You can't secure
and
vision.
it's like a big engage from Jarvan going in. Janna ult goes down. Not really able to push anybody away, though, so they are able to burn the Xayah and take her out. Ult was still up. Not used. Figured might be better to save it, and just never had the chance.
Yeah, it's getting grim because there's not a whole lot you can do. If you're the jungler, you're just going to fall perpetually further and further behind because you can't even walk into your own jungle to farm. Right now, Imagine Ocean drafted themselves a lot of really solid pick and go buttons. So they can just dive a turret anytime a Lux Q lands, anytime a Zyra E lands. They have the ability to just turn and go whenever they want. And there's really no ability on the side of Imagine Stars to punish them unless they pick a outnumbered fight badly. And even then, unless it's a badly outnumbered fight, you have to imagine they probably still win it.
Ultimate Mako in a bit of a bad spot. AC1 M14 gets kind of dissuaded by the Janna and the Ziggs combined CC are able to put enough distance between them. But meanwhile, Lilia's still sitting around, trading damage out. Yasuo and Jarvan do hop over the wall, get that burst kill onto the Ziggs. Lux throwing her own ult over the wall, misses her combo onto the Janna, able to get out of there scot-free. But, I mean, it is now a pretty difficult spot. 3v5 as Graves is just split pushing top at the moment. Xayah burns the ult to avoid the Yasuo tornado. Sends their own Janna tornado as a counter. Now we have Jarvan splitting. Looks like I think he killed a wave bot to get his own wave pushing. Lucian, Nike Dragon out from the jungle, hiding in the bush, picks out the Janna on her own. Lux ult just clearing those waves mid lane. As you're talking, that 30-second or so cooldown, just popping it all the time.
Yeah, we're now down to 28 seconds on the Lux ulti, and we're at level 13. The Lux doesn't even have the third level yet, and notably only has one item finished, and is sitting on another 600 gold. When this Lux gets one or two more items with ability haste in, that laser comes down to a 15 to a 20-second cooldown. There's no reason not to just throw it at every wave.
Absolutely insane. Well, meanwhile, though, Graves getting caught up by the Yasuo and the Lux, getting run down. Kill does go over to Smurb to Perp. 4-1 on that Lux right now. 14-0 on Lucian and 5-1 on Yasuo with a 4-0 Jarvan. This is looking very scary from the side of Imagine Stars. Meanwhile, though, they're still picking up kills in the jungle. No one has backed yet during all of this push that they've been doing.
Now, this is a bit of an interesting play call by Imagine Ocean that I'm not sure I agree with.
Reese getting burst down, has to burn his flash. Ziggs ult comes out and does pick up the kill on Reese. So that's a good pick, able to get some gold back for them. Meanwhile, though, they are still looking to force these fights. Lots of damage going down. They've taken out the Jarvan. They look like they're going to take out the Lucian. They do at the expense of their own Lilia.
But I mean, that's huge, right? That's almost 2,000 gold into the pocket of your Xayah, who's a pretty strong late game carry in her own right. That's really big. That's really what you want for Imagine Stars, and unfortunately, that still just brings them back to within 10,000 gold. So,
Janna walking right past the Yasuo. Not the place to be. She does have her Graves with her. Yep. Looks like Yasuo kind of stuck inside the blue team's jungle right now, taking that fight onto the Graves. Windwall goes out the wrong way. He's got to go back around to play around it, but he's able to heal off of it.
is he stuck, or is he exactly where he wants to be?
Yeah, precisely. Looks like his team has arrived in time, so he's going to be able to get out of there nicely. Still looking for that fight with the Graves, who is half health currently. Lilia goes in. Graves all blown already, but Yasuo 1v3 at the moment, trying to buy what time he can, spread out what he can. Luxalt goes in. Janna ult thrown back out, Zyra ult thrown back out. All the ults being tossed all over the place. Doesn't matter though. At the end of the day, Yasuo went down.
Notably, another Yasuo holding his ulti instead of resetting his shield and dying for it.
Oh, meanwhile, got caught out, and that was enough for Lucian to just hit R and delete Lilia.
So this is really greedy play by Imagine Ocean here. They just need to go take the Baron. There's no way for Imagine Stars to even remotely try to come contest this. They've given up 2 objective bounty turrets now. They've given up numerous huge shutdowns when all they had to do was fall back to Baron and they could end the game. With where the Ziggs is and the Graves are right now, they can't clear Baron minions.
Oh, Nike Dragon picking that fight with the Xayah. Though her ult and her E go out for a lot of damage in return, it's not going to be enough to save her from the Lucian burst.
Yeah, they Imagine Ocean's so far ahead of this game that they can afford to play loose and greedy like this.
Oh, Ziggs getting the pick onto the Reese, but is getting traded right back around. Reese able to survive with her Zonias. Lots of it's pretty wild, these little like bush ambushes that people keep trying to pull in this game. So it worked out quite a lot for Nike Dragon, but not quite as well for Soul My Balls.
Yeah, and
Lux throwing down all the damage
here,
under Lilia, takes her out. Barbarian Adrian is trying to get away. Lucian ult did go down. There's the big speed up out of Janna. Meanwhile, Imagine Ocean should be able to secure that dragon freely.
Yeah, a bit of sloppy, greedy play from Imagine Ocean, letting the Baron sit on the map this long. But if their entire objective was just to stall the game for Dragon Soul because they felt like that was a safer play, I don't know that they needed to make a safer play. I think that they actually wound up causing themselves almost more risk than reward. But they get the soul, and now they're turning their eyes finally to this Baron about 7 minutes later than they should have. And the gold lead is just going to explode from here. The Baron drops. That's 2,000 gold for killing Baron. And it's now a 12,000 gold lead. They've got it back over 10,000 again. And you have to imagine that at this point, they're just going to go group around the Lucian, or they're going to group around the Yasuo, and they're just going to try to push this thing through to the end.
Now, speaking of Yasuo right now, he's about to find himself in a 1v3 very soon. Lots of damage going down to the Lilia. Is able to take her out with the red buff burn. There's the engage onto the Ziggs. Uses his ult on top of that to follow through. Flashes forward. He's onto the Graves 1v3. Lux teleports in to help out, give him that shield, but he didn't need it. 1v3 in favor of the Yasuo, though. Nike Dragon, in the meantime, bursts down the Janna, but doesn't matter because he's able to get traded back by the Xayah. 1,000 gold shutdown going over to her, which is exactly where you want it for Imagine Stars, but I don't know if it's going to be enough right now. She is all alone.
Yeah, I mean, good for her. She got the shutdown. Makes the gold split look a little bit less painful. But at the end of the day right now, you're getting double inhibbed. Your whole team's down. They probably could have ended here if they wanted to. It looks like they're going to try, maybe.
It's
but
just Lilia and Xayah. Ziggs just came back up, but Xayah's been deleted.
Oh my
Luxalt
God.
just took her right out. I don't know if Ziggs can really wave clear these Baron minions. We do have Bard Adrian back. as well as Ultimate Mako, but he has got to burn his own ult to try and survive. Doesn't matter, though, because Jarvan came in with Cataclysm. Bard Adrian has been avoiding these Lux skills all game long, but I don't know if he's going to be able to survive this 1v1 with the Jarvan right now. Actually, he's winning it quite well. In comes Reese, though, trading some damage back, overpops his shield. And yeah, ACM14 is going to be able to get out of there. Doesn't matter, though, because Lux picks up that kill. Oh, Bard Adrian in an awkward spot, 1v1, able to take him out with the help from the Ziggs, deterring the Reese from pushing any further. Doesn't matter, he stepped forward too far. Gets dropped by Nike Dragon, who came, but he does get the trade back onto Reese.
Yeah, really messy close by Imagine Ocean here. They almost triple inhib. They get engaged on in a really ugly split team fight. They feel like they're far enough ahead that they can kind of just disrespect, and they wind up giving the triple kill over to the Ziggs. Is it going to matter at the end of the day? Probably not. Soul and almost triple inhib still in favor of Imagine Oceans. Imagine Oceans 31 kills up, 12,000 gold up. If you're on their side, you kind of have the option to sit back and do what you want. You can wait for the Elder Dragon to spawn in 2 minutes. You can wait for the Baron to spawn in 3 minutes. You can just try to group an end, which really you should have done about 10 minutes ago. But if you're sitting there looking at it from their perspective, you're getting to the point where if this game goes 5 more minutes and continues trading kills evenly, you might actually have a problem coming online in this Graves and this Ziggs, as well as the Xayah that can now win 1v1s probably with the Lucian, depending on who plays it better.
Yep. Oh, Ziggs throwing his whole combo just to try and clear the wave. It is kind of in a bad situation. Janna has to use her ult to get him out of there. It doesn't matter because we have Jarvan coming in with a Cataclysm. Lux picks up the kill with her ultimate. That's a 2-man pick for Imagine Oceans. They're now pushing in 5v3. 1 tower left sitting there for Imagine Stars. Jarvan diving into the back line. They do pick up the kill onto the Lilia. I'm Faded, ultimate going to get blocked mostly by the wind wall. Meanwhile, Bard Adrian trying to put what damage he can, dodges the Lux ult, trying to put some more distance between himself as the rest of Imagine Ocean collapses in around him. That's going to be game 2 for Imagine Ocean.
And that's what they need to do, right? You have the Jarvan. You have a Jarvan against a bunch of immobile people. Just go jump on some people and end the game, right? Really, really good fight from Imagine Stars. Bit of a sloppy end by Imagine Ocean, but overall, dominant game 2 from Imagine Ocean.
Yeah, I think going into that game, Imagine Ocean came in with a bit better of a team comp, and I think maybe even a better mental position as they got into the game, that they were able to just roll their advantage from the previous match and really just take control over that situation and win the series.
Yeah, if you're Imagine Stars, after the meltdown that happened in the first game, you have to try to reset your mental for game 2. I give them credit. I think that they tried. I think that they maybe weren't back on 100% sharp with that draft. That draft is a little bit of a rough one to land with, but I think that they performed well for themselves. They performed exceptionally well in the first game before their meltdown. Second game, they handicapped themselves a little bit too hard with draft, but they managed to hold the game on for 30 minutes, which, whether because of Imagine Ocean misstepping or overstepping a little bit, or Imagine Stars just holding the line well, good job by them to keep it up.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a great series. If we had to pick MVPs and aces for that match, for that series, who would your votes go over to?
MVP for that match specifically has to be Nike Dragon. I know Reese spoon-fed him a little bit there, but the Lucian was absolutely massive. As far as for the entire series, I struggle a little bit more with that one. I think Nike Dragon performed exceptionally well in both games. Obviously came back online in a major way on the Vayne, but I don't think that the Vayne play was what carried that game. Mm-hmm. I think ACM 14 makes a really strong case for himself on both the Sedge and the Jarvan. But I think my MVP for the series has to be Smurb to Perm. I think that the first game on the set, he seemed like he was absolutely dictating the pace of the game. flashing forward with ease in places, pulling things together, causing an absolute nightmare for the enemy team. And then on the Lux, just the sheer amount of map control that he demonstrated, even though his kill share wasn't as high as it could have maybe been due to the solo kills on both sides of the map. Really, really strong map presence by Smurb in both games.
Yeah, and that's an absolutely fair take. I think I would give the series MVP over to the Sejuani and to the Jarvan. I think that was just hugely impactful for both matches, able to really give the entire team the advantage that they needed and get rolling in both of those series. Nike Dragon, huge, contender for MVP in Game 2, but as you said in Game 1, although he did well, especially towards the end of the match, didn't seem quite as dominant. And yeah, absolute Smurb, fantastic gameplay in both matches, but ultimately I think it goes to the jungler for Imagine Oceans.
I can agree with that. I just try not to show too much jungler bias. We know that I'm prone to that at times. As far as ace goes, my ace for both games is between Barbadrian 1 and I'm Fated. I think that the two of them absolutely did everything they could to give their team the best chance they could, performing excellently in both games. Rougher games on the Graves and the Xayah, but even still, standing their ground, doing the best they could to fight their way back into it. Excellent games from both of them on the Ornn and the Kai'Sa, respectively. For me, I think I'm Fated slightly edges out Barbadrian in contributions to the team, and so I'm Fated would be my ace for the series, but I'm interested to hear your take on it.
Honestly, I think you put exactly what I would say for that. Barbadrian had some great moments, was really dominating the top lane, especially in Game 2, and was holding things together in Game 1 with the Ornn. But ultimately, he just wasn't really able to do much with his advantages with the leads he was creating, or was falling vulnerable to ganks and roaming pressure in Game 2. But meanwhile, I'm Fated, was really trying to pull together and keep his team in it as best as he can. He had some great moments with the Xayah to trade back and kills or make opportunities in an otherwise game with few opportunities to seize. So, yeah, I think I'm Fated would be my series ace for that.
All right, well, great series.